Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to see a human eye, the construction of human eye and the working of it. Generally, these questions can be of 4 marks in your exam. It is the most IMP topic for your examination. Okay, so here it is the construction of an eye, in which there is so many parts of eye is just labeled in this diagram, right? There is a first of all, the first part is a cornea, right? Cornea is one type of thin and a transparent membrane of our eye, from which the light enters to our eye. So it is the first layer of eye, which is a transparent. So easily light can be enters from it in a eye, right? And due to the aqueous humor present just behind it, the light mostly refract at here. As you know that when the light is passing from one transparent medium to the another transparent medium, the refraction is occurs. At here the same thing is occurs, right? Outside of the eye or in the other side of the cornea there is an air, and inside of the cornea there is an aqueous humor, which is mostly contained of water, or you can say that it is a liquid. And just because of that liquid, the refractive index of the aqueous humor is more than the refractive index of air. And just because of that, this cornea acts as an interference between two different transparent medium. And just because of that, when the light enters to the cornea, the light mostly refracts. So cornea is a thin transparent membrane from which the light enters to our eye, and it refracts more at here. Exactly behind the cornea there is an iris, right? Iris is a muscular diaphragm, right? We generally change the size of pupil. As you know that there is our eye is like, you can see an eye like that, okay? In this eye, there is a part like that. This whole part is known as iris. This is iris. It is not a pupil. Generally we call it pupil, but it is not a pupil. It is a iris. This iris gives us a color of eye. Generally some of the person has a different color, like some has a green color, some of them has a blue color. It is the color of iris, and that color can be just have because of the refraction of light. If a light reflected from the iris is blue, then that person's eyes is blue. If the reflected light is a brown, then that person has a brown, right? And always all the person has an iris which is a brown color. Some of the person has a blue. There is no one exists who has a black iris. Whenever you see by incidence some of the lights on your eye, during that time you can easily see the color of their iris. Generally which is a brown in color, right? Some of the person has a blue, some of them has a green, right? So like that, the iris has a different color because it reflects that color of light from it. So iris is the muscular diaphragm, right, which generally change the size of pupil. But what is the pupil? Pupil is exactly center on the iris, which is a black in color. Whenever you see your eyes, there is one black spot in your eye. Either that eye is in a blue color, a green color, or any other color, but there is one spot which is always in a black color, which is known as pupil. Which is known as pupil. Pupil is just a space between iris. It is a space between iris. There is an iris. This thin blue line is an iris, and there is a space between two iris, which is known as pupil. Pupil is always in a black color. and that pupil can change its size due to the iris. Iris always changes the size of pupil. Because pupil is control the amount of light. Whenever there is a more light incident on an eye, during that time that pupil becomes smaller with the help of iris. Iris make it smaller. Just because of that, the small amount of light can be entered in our eye. Whenever there is a less light, then this pupil becomes larger with the help of iris. So you can say that behind the cornea there is a iris, which is a muscular layer, right, which changes the size of pupil. And the pupil is also behind the cornea, but it is an aperture and exactly centered. Right? It is behind the cornea, but it is in a center, an aperture of an eye, which is known as pupil. And what is the working of pupil? Pupil just control the amount of light entering into our eye by making its size smaller or larger. If there is a brightest, means a more light is incident on an eye, it makes its size a smaller. And when the light is less, during that time it makes its size a larger. So like that, pupil change its size and control the amount of light. After entering from the pupil, it incident on an eye lens. The light incident on an eye lens. Understand? So eye lens is a jelly-like material which has a different focal length. Means a focal length can be adjusted according to the object. According to object, its focal length is always adjusted, right? So it is a jelly-like material. So after passing from the pupil, the light incident on a jelly-like material, which is known as eye lens. And eye lens also reflect the light, but in such an amount that image can be formed on retina only, right? If you want to see any object clearly, the image should be formed on retina. Right? And just for that, the eye lens reflect that light in just a small amount, but that amount is only that much that the image of that object can be formed on the retina. So the eye lens is the most important part of our eye because it makes that refraction that much only that we can see the object clearly. Understand? So here it is the eye lens, which is a jelly-like material and which can change the focal length according to the position of an object and form an image by doing a reflection in such a way that the image can be formed on a retina. Then the ciliary muscle. Ciliary muscle is also a muscular diaphragm which holds the eye lens on its position. Here it is the ciliary muscles. These blue lines are the ciliary muscles. We just hold the eye lens on its position, and by applying a force or by relaxation, it changes the focal length of eye lens. If it just apply a stress on eye lens, then if the eye lens is like that, if it applies a force or a stress on eye lens, that eye lens becomes smaller, curvature becomes high, and focal length becomes less. So the nearer object can be easily seen. If that object is at far, then that ciliary muscles just relax, and as it relaxes, the eye lens is jelly-like material, so focal length becomes more. So like that, by relaxation, it increases the focal length of eye lens, and by applying the stress, it decreases the focal length of eye lens. Like that, the ciliary muscles can change the focal length of eye lens by applying a stress or becoming relaxed, right? So like that, the ciliary muscles are muscular diaphragm which hold the eye lens and change the focal length of eye lens. The retina is a screen on which the image is formed. So whenever the image is formed, where the image is formed, that part is known as retina. Right? And retina has so many optical cells which change that optics into an electric signal. We change the light into electric signal. So retina has a light sensitive cells. We change that light means the image. Generally the image is due to the light, right? So this light is just converting into a electric signal with the help of light sensitive cells present into retina. So retina is a screen on which the image is formed, which has so many light sensitive cells which just convert that light into electric signal, and that electric signals are transported to the brain with the help of optic nerve. So optic nerve just transport that electric signal to the brain, and brain interprets which type of image is there. So here it is the working and the construction of human eye. The construction is just this figure, and the working is I have said it one by one, right? All the working of all the parts. So you have to write it. Not only that, the eyeball is generally a spherical in shape, and the diameter of that eyeball is 2.3 centimeter. So here it is the construction and the working of human eye. Thank you.